Hey everybody, it's Natalie Gold with the Gold Standard, and I am so thrilled to be here with my friend Casey Graham. Hey Casey.
Hey, Natalie, are you fired up?
I am so on fire always and so ready, and clearly you are too, my friend. So let me tell you about this super fiery cat on the other end. Casey Graham is the co-founder and CEO of Gravy, the leading failed payment recovery and customer retention solution for recurring revenue companies. Prior to launching Gravy, Casey is known for founding the Rocket Company, an organization that helped church leaders scale their financial leadership and fundraising. The company grew so quickly in the years of his tenure that he was on the Inc. 5000 list 3 years in a row, sold the company, and exited to a venture capital group. His passion for entrepreneurship and bold vision for leadership are the driving force behind his energetic and engaging presence. I'll say, when he's not actively driving Gravy forward, he's spending time with his wife and kids, the best thing ever. A good cigar, Alabama football.
Yes.
All right, well, I'm a Buckeye fan, but we'll talk about it. And riding around on a rented tractor. What's up, Casey?
What's up? That bio is something special. I haven't heard that one yet.
Well, I think, Casey, that you haven't ever heard anyone deliver it with
That's
such
what it is.
that's the thing.
That's
Because
what it is.
let's
I
be
have to
real.
say I'm nervous. I have to say I'm nervous.
I'm nervous.
Because you're a lawyer. And so
That's the last thing I want you to think of me of. Although, of course, yes, I am.
no, I'm scared. I'm scared you're going to send me a bill when we get off the phone. I'm just kidding.
Are you sending me a bill? Is that what's happening here?
I love it.
I love
So
it.
no, for real. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. And Casey, look, like it's such a pleasure to be with you. We connected on LinkedIn, which is
Mhm.
really an amazing platform. And what you're doing at
Yeah.
Gravy is super. And Casey, look, a lot of people want or think they want to be a CEO. They have no clue what that means.
Yeah.
Can you take us through like your day to day?
Yeah, but startup day to day versus today's day to day are two totally different things. And so if we fast forward to today, um, I spend a lot of time on my job now is external. So most people think a CEO's job is to manage the company. I think 90% of my role and time is external. And what I mean by that is sniffing out opportunities. So for instance, a year ago, Gravy wasn't on LinkedIn. Not one person was consistently posting. It was just this platform we thought was just, where you had a resume, and if you were looking for a job, you wouldn't updated it. And that's what I knew of it, and that's what everybody knew of it 1 year ago. And we started sniffing around, and I got on there one day and saw the content and kind of got sucked in. And I was like, I made a post, and I'm like, there's 1,000 people that read a post. I was like, you can't get 1,000 people to read anything. Like that's expensive to pay for that kind of exposure.
Sure.
And so anyway, sniffed the opportunity out, then went, oh my God, this is huge. And then started digging down that, rabbit hole. That's an example of like sniffing opportunities. That's my, if you had to say, Casey, what's your strength? My strength is the ability to know where the oil is, to know where to drill. And so that's what I do a lot of. And so I spend a lot of, I'm an artist, so I'm more of a creative CEO. I'm a terrible manager of people.
Me too.
I'm horrible. I am good at leading the organization. I'm terrible at managing the people to get the job done. I'm just not good
So
at it.
how do you make up for that, right?
Uh,
Because we need to manage
yeah,
people.
well, I've had a co-founder that's been my right hand. Her name's Renee, and she's been my right hand, and she's the chief of staff for 18 years. And so every venture that we've gone through, literally starting as interns together after college, we've been together ever since then in every single venture. And so I'm the starter, she's the finisher. I'm the vision, she's the operations. I'm the passion, she's the empathy. It's
Hey,
just
Casey, I'm
literally.
looking for a Renee. So do me a favor. If you get a clone of Renee, send them my
Yep.
way because I need
I
them.
used I used to own a website called findarenee.com.
No
Seriously.
way.
Because everybody's like, I want a Renee, I want a Renee. And I'm like, good luck. But the point of it is that I think together we make up a CEO. Like together we make up like what a traditional, like, I guess, Wall Street CEO would look like. But in and of itself, I'm just an entrepreneur redneck from Alabama that likes to drink wine out of a red Solo cup, and I get in trouble and I hate the rules. And she is somebody that's steady and consistent and stays at, and manages people well and loves people well on the process. And so that's why it works, if I'm being frank.
Casey, I think we're very similar, except for I'm a New York girl between New York, LA. But now I'm getting, I'm in Colorado right now, so I'm learning. I'm learning a little bit about your world, which I love. Look, Casey, you went from a very successful
Yeah.
venture rocket company, Inc. 5000, sold it,
Yep.
and then started Gravy. So what was the opportunity at Gravy that you saw that you wanted to be part of?
Well, I didn't. That's why everybody thinks I make up, like I'm just sitting there one day and I have all these wonderful ideas. And so really, Gravy came because somebody wanted to buy the rocket company, a private equity group. And, if you're listening to this and you're an entrepreneur, it sounds really sexy to sell your company. It's not. The payoff is great, right? So you get money, but the process to sell your company is extremely hard.
Sucks.
So they do a letter of intent. And so they say, we'll pay you X amount. And then they get you into due diligence, which is essentially saying, I'm going to get you butt ass naked and I'm going to tell you every single thing that's wrong with you and make you feel insecure and that we're not going to buy it. And then we're going to lower the price on you. That's the Casey version of it. And so
there
I
are like
was sitting,
sorority girls who are like, get naked and we're going to circle your fat. Not that that would ever happen anywhere, but basically that's what they are. Okay, got it.
So that's what it feels like. So within 1 hour, when they were in due diligence, we were sitting across the table, and before I finished my coffee, I lost millions of dollars, and they dropped their offer like significant. And they said, your company's not sticky. And I was like, what the hell does your company's not sticky mean? And so they started going through what's called a churn waterfall. And they started looking at cohorts of different customers and said, hey, this cohort at month 7, they fell off. And at month 19, these people were dropping off. And they started breaking down all of the stuff that was happening for people that were paying on a subscription. And I was trying to go, guys, look at all the sales. And they're going, no. We're looking at like how long people stay and pay. Because when we buy it, that's what we're buying.
Right.
And so they dropped their price. And so for 2 years, I was mad. So we went back to the drawing board. And for 2 years, we fixed the problem that we solved, which is churn. And it's churn that comes from payment failure. And that's literally that people just, their cards on file. And for some reason it's happened to you. It happens to me. It happens to everybody, that the bank rejects it, or there's insufficient funds, or you changed your credit card, or you left it at a bar. There's all these different reasons that it happens. And that's why people were going out the back door. So we fixed that problem at Gravy, and fixing that problem at Gravy then became the beginning of now essentially what Gravy is the system, the leadership, the technology, everything we built to fix it at Gravy. That's what, at the rocket company, that is what has become Gravy, that one little part of the process. And so now what we figured out, we just do for other companies for less than the price of a part-time employee.
That's amazing. So basically, well, you're also like, you're solving a huge issue, which is making sure that the company is paid when the person said that they were going to pay. And sometimes it's like, how many times have I changed a credit card number? It's not malicious. It just happens. And also, you're allowing companies to save face because, first of all, no one wants to make that phone call.
No, nobody goes to a high school career day saying, you know what? When I get older, my dream job is to call people who have a credit card issue.
Well, Casey, that goes to one of my main pillars is let's start teaching those kids about some damn financial literacy, which
they won't do it. They won't do it. I don't know why they won't. Well, I do. I think I know why, but that's for another podcast.
They want to keep us stupid and do whatever it is, right? But we're going to change that, Casey, you and me. So look, Casey, you are the vision. You have an amazing co-founder with you, Renee, who really does the operations. And I think it's so important that you bring that out on the forefront because so many people think they have to do it all on their own on this entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah. Yeah. So, the way to, let me start here. so I'm writing a book, okay? And one of the big pillars that I learned that I didn't have in Rocket Company days and before then, and that you catch me now, you still may think, he's this crazy wild guy or whatever. And I may have a personality that way, but I'm relentlessly focused on our business staying simple and staying focused on one thing. Most people, entrepreneurs, they have vision of the month club, new ideas, wear out their team, wear out their stuff. And so one of the things that I write about in the book is, if you don't want to scale your business, don't do it. If you want to be a one-man band and you want to do it all, decide that and do it. But don't be a one-man band and say you want to grow your business and then you do it all. So everything comes back to this term that we call owner's intent. Owner's intent is when you make a decision, because you're really a Siamese twin. If you own the business and you operate the business, those are two different roles, which as a lawyer, just from paperwork, that there's owner paperwork, and then you hire the person to run the business. Well, when those people are one, that's what creates the frustration and the friction of being a business owner. It's not because it's because they're at war with each other, because the business owner hasn't decided what they want. And I've asked, I could ask you, I could ask many people. I've asked tons of people, tell me what you want out of your business. And everybody rambles. They ramble. And they'll tell me everything they don't want. And so what I teach people is get very clear on the one statement that you say that your owner's intent is, and that's what the owner wants from the business. Then as the operator of the business, then you can go and you can execute against that. So for me, my owner's intent for Gravy is to build a company that my adult children would want to work at someday, if they so chose to. That's it. That's why we're building. But that shouldn't be yours. Like, I met a guy at the gym and he makes knives. And I was like, dude, he minimum to buy
knives. That's not scary at all.
Hey, minimum to buy a knife is $10,000 for one of his knives.
Whoa.
Maximum 50 to 75,000, and he's got a line.
Does that guy have an estate plan? I think he needs to talk to me seriously.
So this guy, the point here, I know I went around the world, but this is very important for anybody listening that's an owner of a business. Is I started telling him, like, hey, dude, people are waiting 9 months. If you just hired 2 people, you could, speed up the timeline and you can make triple the revenue, all this kind of stuff. And I was trying to give him my owner's intent of what I would do in his business. And he looked back at me and he said, I decided when I started this that I enjoy making knives by myself, and I was going to be a premium knife maker. And that's what brings me joy. And that's what I've decided to do. And I will not have any employees. And I know I know what that means. But that's why people buy the knives from me, is because they can't get them from me. And I was like, he has his owner's intent. And so my question for you, or for the people listening, would be, what's your owner's intent? Because out of that, then it answers every other question from your business. And so now for me, to build a business that my adult kids would want to work at one day, it answers the hiring, how we spend, do we raise money? What do we do with our legal? What do we do with all the different stuff? So long story short, owner's intent, very important.
I just love that, because look, as an entrepreneur, yes, I am a lawyer, but I'm very much
totally
atypical entrepreneur. Like, I'm an entrepreneur more so than I'm a lawyer.
Right.
And often you're right, that owner's intent versus the operator.
Yeah.
They come head to head often.
Yeah. So in intimate relationships, there's this thing that I've learned called the crazy cycle. And so crazy cycle is this idea that in any intimate relationship, you've got 2 parties. And essentially what you'll find in most relationships is that somebody really desires love and somebody really desires respect. It kind of works out this way. Am I stereotyping? Probably a little bit, but if you just look, it kind of works out. And so if the person who wants love doesn't feel love, then they're not going to they're going to disrespect the person who wants respect. And then it becomes this crazy cycle. And so finally, somebody has to just make a decision to change no matter how they feel. Well, the same is true in business, is that you've got your owner who wants to be satisfied and happy. They want to be a happy owner. Like, you don't start a business to be miserable.
No.
So I want to be a happy owner. But what happens is because the owner is not clear about what would make them happy, they haven't decided, The operator, what they want to do is be motivated. They want to, you get into business to choose your own path. I don't have a boss. I'm going to do this thing. But if the owner hasn't been clear, the operator, you can't make, they're not going to be motivated. So an unsatisfied owner creates an unmotivated operator. And so the unmotivated operator can't give satisfaction to what the owner wants. And so it creates a crazy cycle inside of our head as entrepreneurs that if we don't write these things out and separate them, then we're never going to be able to build the business that gives us the fulfillment that we wanted in starting it in the first place.
Casey, it's brilliant and so true. I mean, look, I'm thinking my own life. I'm sure this is universal truth.
Oh, it's universal, 100%.
How do we figure out that owner's intent?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a process that we walk people through, but basically here's the number one thing that I believe that you find owner intent is most people that own businesses, there's 3 different reasons of why. Again, these are very macro. The first is an income intent. The second is an independence or time intent. And the third is an influence or impact. So money, time, or impact. Like if I talk to 1,000 entrepreneurs, it's either an amount of money they want, amount of freedom they want with their time, or some type of influence. So that's where you start. And so the question I ask is, inside of money, if you were, I mean, let's just do it right now, like, I mean, what kind of money do you don't have to say a specific answer, but if it was like,
go for $100 million.
Okay. Yeah. So that's what I had somebody tell me one time. I want to sell for $100 million. Okay. So then I say, okay, by when? So
by June 16th, 2025.
All right, June 16th, 2025. Okay. So here's the next question down. Why is $100 million important to you?
Because the amount of checks and things I could fund with that money would be world changing for the masses.
I know, but why is being world changing for the masses important to you?
Because I'm going to be a world leader on the mass stage. And what better way to do that?
But why is that important to you? Why is being a world leader important to you?
Because if it's not at the level of world, is it really worthwhile?
Okay, but why does it matter if it's at world? Why does it have to be that?
I don't know.
So what you told me, now again, there's no judgment in this, by the way. So you said 100 million.
Yeah.
The next why, when I pressure test it, is what I can do with the money for the masses. The next why, it keep coming down. And essentially what you're telling me is you don't care about the 100 million. You care about being a world leader.
Correct.
Okay. So the 100 million is not your owner's intent. That's just something you made up to get you to what your real owner's intent is. And if I worked with
influence.
Do what?
Which is the impact and influence.
That's what it is. So what I'm saying for you is you think it's money, but it's not. And so I would drive you down that pathway, get down and go, oh, I hear influence. Oh, she's influence impact. Then we would say, okay, influence impact. What do you care about influence impact? And we don't have to do it, but then
financial literacy for the world, for women and children.
And then I would drive down through that and say how many and where and all that stuff. And by the end of it, we could get to the end of this literally in a few minutes and go, your owner's intent is simply that you want financial literacy for people who had it because you didn't growing up, and it will change their life or whatever. Now, that's a good owner's intent. And you could do that and have $10 million. You don't have to have 100.
Or a billion, or whatever. It doesn't really
whatever.
Matter. Right.
That's what I'm saying. And so I just released your head from reading articles about becoming the next unicorn because you don't need to do that. So that's the power of owner's intent. And then from that point, you go, if there's anything that violates that, we don't do it. If there's anything that violates that, we don't spend on it. If there's opportunities that come up that fit that, we do it. It's a decision-making filter. It's a financial filter. It's a hiring filter. It's an everything filter. And so that's what owner's intent, that's the power of it.
You just blew my mind, and I'm sure everyone watching is going to be so much better. I mean, look, how many years of your life do we spend in that vicious cycle?
Yeah. And I call it, do you know what ruins more owners' lives than anything?
What?
I call it watching owners' porn. So you know what owner's porn is?
No.
It's basically all the LinkedIn LinkedIn articles that talk about the unicorn and talk about the fundraising series and talk about the success magazine of what success is. And business, the thing that's celebrated in culture is financial success for the business and being known, and it comes from money. And so what happens is that most of the people are looking and they're going, yeah, but we're not where Gong is, or we're not where she is, or we're not where whatever. And so essentially what that is fantasy. So that's the porn side, is that it's fantasy. And what fantasy does to your relationships is it makes you dissatisfied with reality. And so you come home to your reality and you're going, I'm not anywhere near there. And that's what creates the mental head trash that allows people to not feel fulfilled in their business. And so that's why I'm saying you got to turn off the owner's porn and you've got to focus down on what your
Casey,
owner's
what the hell
intent
are you
is.
doing as the CEO of Gravy? You need to be on world stages, my friend.
That's not my point. My owner's intent is to build a company that my adult kids would want to work at.
I love it. And we'll squeeze in a podcast here and there. I love that.
So yeah, no, but this matters to me because I didn't have it. And I sold the company, and 2 weeks later I was suicidal.
Oh
I had
God.
millions and millions of dollars, and I had no idea why I existed. I had no purpose. I sold and walked out. Like, I handed the keys over and I was gone. And so all these people that we had recruited and hired, and then I got my check and I felt like I sold them. I felt like I sold my soul. I felt like I sold my purpose. I felt like I sold my structure of time. I felt like I sold a lot of those things. And I was just sitting there and I felt like Judas. I felt like I turned in Jesus. I felt like I was this guy that got the bag of gold, but I would sit there and look at my bank account and it just didn't do anything for me.
Casey, I love that you said that, because I deal with wealth. I deal with inheritance. I deal with structuring business exits and making them really successful, but that's only part of it. And what no one talks about is what you just said, which is, why do lottery owners end up bankrupt? Why do people who inherit, and you built it, earned it, sold it, and you felt that way. So how did you come to terms with that?
It took 14 months. It took counseling every week. And it took me learning that the reason I was driven to success was when I was a kid. One of my favorite, I was athletic. And so one of the things that I really excelled in, being baseball, playing college, this and the other, but I always loved being able to look in the stands and my dad, be proud of me. That mattered to me. And I think it matters. A lot of people say that doesn't matter to me. Well, most people, I feel that they have somebody in their life that they want to look up in the stands and feel like they matter to. And what I didn't realize is that until I was 36 years old, I was building these businesses. Essentially, they were my new baseball field. And I was looking over, and now it wasn't in the stands. I was hoping to get the phone call, and I was just wanting my dad to be proud of me. And I didn't know that. I was driven by that. I was going to prove them wrong. I came from small town. They told me, hey, you need to be a lawyer.
My soul right now, my friend.
So I didn't know that. And so essentially I was trying to solve an internal brokenness with an external success, and it never worked. And so I've tried it all. I've done it all. I've experienced it all. I've done all the pleasures of the world, and none of it has ever filled my soul. And so I had to come to the bottom. And then from there, weekly counseling, staying in it with my friends, with my close relationships. And then over about a 14-month period, I went from the bottom to starting Gravy at a place of humility, of going, my goal is not to do this to get rich. I want to help people. I want stories. And that's why I'm here.
Casey, you are so raw. And every single person watching this is going through look, our soul has a mission on this earth, which is why we're here.
Yeah.
And so many of us feel that emptiness and then try to fill it with outside crap. Yeah. Which feels good for 3 seconds, and then we're back even worse than square one.
Yeah.
You are an incredibly brave human being, and thank you for really showing us yourself.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, I don't, so sometimes it comes across maybe as like trying to be shock value or say these things. And for me, really what it is I think I want my life to serve as a warning, and I want my life to serve as an example. And the warning, and I feel like I spend a lot of my time helping people go like, guys, I'm telling you, because I talked to a guy upstairs. He sold his company for $5 billion. He's miserable. You know why? His relationships are all messed up. And if your relationships are a mess, your life feels like a mess. And so he sold for $5 billion, and I'm standing next to the coffee machine getting the same espresso. And I feel like not from a comparison standpoint, but I can just tell he doesn't have joy. He doesn't have fulfillment. His soul is empty and his bank account is so full. And again, I'm not against bank accounts being
Great. God
full, by
bless
the
you.
way.
Great. The more the merrier.
It will never cure your soul. And so I believe you don't have to hit the bottom to do it. And that's why I share my story, is to say, hopefully this helps people before they go too far down the pathway, correct the course.
Beautiful. Casey, you have just been such a pleasure. Truly one of my favorite guests on the podcast. I can't wait to share your beautiful story and truly uplifting and inspiring message. And I can't wait to see this amazing company you continue to build that your adult children will want to work in.
Thank you.
Thanks, Casey.